Hello and welcome to Motors for the Masses, and this week I was supposed to bring you the 2021 Euro 5 CF Moto 650 MT, but I got a phone call this morning to say the bike isn't coming today because the haulage company forgot to collect it. So it's coming next week, possibly Tuesday or Wednesday, but hopefully, all being good, next week will be the review on the new 650 MT. So today I thought I'd bring you some news, various different things to go through. So let's roll the intro and get cracking. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is parts and availability of bikes. Now, there's a few things that contribute to this. Unfortunately, everything has been affected by this pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. I hate to even mention the word now, but also in the UK, the Brexit scenario. Now, it's not just the motoring trade, it is that, but everything across the board is affected. The building trade is suffering somewhat because they can't get materials. The price of wood has gone through the roof because they just can't meet the demand and they can't get the parts. So a bunch of wood that was that much was probably £1,000. Now you get that much for £1,000. Not to scale, so don't hold me on that. But you know what I mean. Everything is getting hard to get hold of. In the motoring trade, parts for cars, parts for bikes is a nightmare. Now, whether you like it or not, a massive amount of parts come from Asia, predominantly China, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, those kind of places. And there's various different things that are affecting why we can't move forward with the motoring trade. Land Rover have thousands of the new discoveries sitting at Rockingham, unable to move because they can't get enough microchips to complete the car builds. So everyone is suffering. In the bike trade, now, as I say, it's not just the parts thing. Now you have to think, the manpower was down because they had to shut down the country in Asia, China, Vietnam, the usual places where they build the parts. So when they went back to work, they were developing bikes, so body panels, stuff like that. They didn't have enough manpower to build the little components to go in the bikes, to complete them. So whereas they had loads of bikes sitting around, they didn't have the little parts to put into the bike, because unfortunately it's not just one factory, they get different parts from different places. And it's the same across the board. And then we had the issue with containers. Now, what didn't help in the middle of all this is that boat that got stuck in the Suez. Now, unfortunately, a lot of brands have been suffering with that. Yamaha themselves had a massive amount of containers on that ship. It was stuck along with their bikes. We had the same with Sinis and the same with AJS. They also had bikes there and they couldn't get them here because they were stuck on the Ever Given. That's now been released, but unfortunately there's now a 6 to 8 week delay for them getting here. So the likes of Sinis are suffering. They haven't got bikes arriving until the end of July, and then the main crux coming in September. AJS, some of their bikes aren't even coming till next spring now. So it's suffering all over the place. Now, what hasn't helped is the monopolising of container costs and shipping from China. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, as I say, a lot of the parts come from there, which means they're having to ship the parts from China. China are saying, well, you want the parts, you're going to have to pay for them. Now, you go back a year or so, a container cost was about £2,500. At the moment, it's currently up to £19,000 and even £20,000 for the same container. Now, if you put 40 or 50 bikes in that container, that means each bike has to go up by £300-400 to justify bringing them in on that container. You've got bigger bikes that have the panniers on, like the big Benelli TRK 502s, things like that, or some of the even bigger bikes, Triumph, when they bring their bikes over. Now, because they can only get 20 or 30 bikes in, that means each bike's got to go up by about £1,000. And who's going to pay that extra? They're not. When it comes to parts, you've got twofold there. You've got parts that aren't being made because they're too busy making other parts. And then when they are sending them, they've got the extra costs. So they have to justify, do we want to bring it in and pay those costs and put the prices up to compensate? And are people going to buy them if the prices go up? Not that they can get them anywhere else. But other than that, do we just not bother? So there's all sorts of things that are causing delays. On top of that, another manufacturer that we were dealing with, Zontis, had a separate issue. Now, the captain of the ship that was coming in came into one of the UK ports down south, Portsmouth I think it might have been, and it was overloaded. So rather than wait, the captain said, I'm off to Rotterdam. You want your containers? Pick them up from there, because that's where I'm going to dump them. And he did. So we had a 2-week delay of the new range of Zontis bikes, including their new prototype that we're getting here to do a review on, of the new 300. And I'm not going to say too much, but it'll be revealed in a future video. But yes, there's another model of the 310 range coming. So yeah, we had that. Unfortunately, he just decided he wasn't going to wait. So we went to Rotterdam. Plus, he was on a hot date. Unfortunately, ship captains are a law unto themselves, so they just do what they want, and we just have to fall in line. So hopefully that puts into perspective just what's going on at the moment. The problem with that on the UK side is some of the bigger manufacturers are not able to deal with the influx of parts that are coming. They've been on lockdown, so they've been furloughing a lot of their staff, and then they're coming back in filtering who can't cope with the demand. So when they unfurlough all the staff and everyone's back on, they've got a backlog to contend with. They've got parts they can't get, but it doesn't stop the end user needing those parts. Now, stuck in the middle are dealers. Dealers want the parts, they can't get them, they've got angry customers, they've got fed up suppliers who are saying we can't get them, stop calling us because the situation hasn't changed, leave us alone. And the dealer is stuck in the middle, having to deal with the supplier and deal with the customer who just wants their parts. Now, it's not the dealer's fault. Parts orders go in and they just can't get them. So unfortunately that causes delays, causes anger, causes issues with the customers wanting their bikes fixed, wanting parts for their bikes, accessories even, anything. And that just means everyone is suffering. So I don't know what else to say about that really. It's just a waiting game and a you have to be patient situation. We will get out of this. Don't know how long it's going to take, but it will happen. So you'll just have to bear with. Now, one of the positive, yet also with a negative connotation side of that is used bikes. Now, because of the lack of new bikes and the lack of parts to complete new bikes, the price of used bikes and cars have gone through the roof. The problem with that is then people can't buy them cheap enough to be able to sell on, so people are selling them privately. So used bikes through dealers are hard to come by. And if they are, they're paying a lot more for them, which means the price of them to sell goes up, which means if they're going up in dealerships, they're also going up on Civvy Street because they're just demanding more money for them. So the price of them is just going up through the roof. And that just means we can't get enough of them. So used bikes are just, I don't know, it's hard to say. Overvalued, I think is the best word. You know, you've got stupid prices for bikes and cars that you just wouldn't generally pay. And that's annoying, especially for someone like me who just likes to buy stuff. But on the flip side, I look at it and go, no, it's too expensive, I'm not paying that. I'll deal with my own upset and anger at home on my own. Anyway, other than that, what else have we got for you? Well, whether you like it or not, electric bikes are the future, and there are a couple to keep an eye out for. There's a new one called the Drill 1. Now this bike has 14 kilowatts. Doesn't sound a lot, but it has 30 pounds-foot of torque, and that is quite powerful. Now, I don't know any more details about the bike at the moment. It's an off-road bike. It looks like a mountain bike with off-road tyres and stuff, and it's £8 grand. It's expensive if you like that kind of stuff. But there is a smaller one. It's not quite in the 125 CBT range because it's got 12 kilowatts. That I believe is going to be just under £5 grand. So the prices of them are coming down. You know, having 12 kilowatts does mean it's still quite powerful because you've got plenty of torque, and apparently it weighs less than 50 kilos. Now for an electric bike, that's not a lot. So with that kind of weight, expect a fantastic acceleration. In fact, I may have misinformed you there. No, it's the £8 grand bike. The one that's got 30 pounds-foot of torque is less than 50 kilos. So that one is going to fly. Now the average 125 bike that's got 11 kilowatts, which is 14.75 brake horsepower, tends to be around about 130 to 140 kilos. There's new Zontis ones that are that power, are about 150 kilos. And they will do 70, 75 miles an hour. So you put that on an electric bike, what does that tell you? Now you go to the 14 kilowatt one with 30 pounds-foot of torque. Now bearing in mind, you take say an 11 kilowatt bike that's got 10 pounds-foot of torque. You have an electric bike that's 14 kilowatts, 30 pounds-foot of torque, and weighs less than 50 kilos. Sounds like 100 miles an hour to me. On a push bike, effectively. Being 14 kilowatts, you're going to need to have a full license to ride it. But anyway, we'll see. So you've got a couple there. You've got the 12 kilowatt one that's about £5 and the 14 kilowatt one that's about £8. But it sounds like a bit of a monster. Now, sticking with electric for a minute, you've also got Husqvarna. They're bringing out a new, what they call a vision into what they can do. To me, it looks like a generic sort of electric scooter that's been slightly rogered by the 401. It's an electric looking scooter. It's got some sort of weird headlight that's sort of... In fact, let me show you a picture. See what I mean? An electric scooter that's been violated by the 401. Now, whereas it's not for me, it will interest some of you. Do you like it? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, as you know, as I said at the beginning here, we do have the MT650 from CF Moto coming, so hopefully next week that should be our review. But I've also seen that CF Moto are using their new partnership with KTM to bring out an 800cc version of that bike. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that when it comes. There is also a new bike from MASH. Now, do you remember the MASH 400? Well, it's actually called 500, but it's got a 400cc engine. If you can't, here's a picture. And they're bringing out a 650 version of that. So that is a bike we will use for our next trip. We've got that, the 650 Roadster, the 650 X-Ride with a 21-inch wheel, and we're probably going to use the MT650 adventure bike. We'll see how that goes. As a comparison, 3 650s, 3 different styles of bikes. How do they fare on a trip? Now, a lot of you know MotoGB as a supplier. They deal with a lot of bikes. Now they're bringing out their own range called the MGB. Now they've got various scooters that look very much like other scooters, some retro designed ones and some usual ones, 50cc 125, and an electric one called the G1. Here's a picture of it. What a shock! Looks like an electric scooter. But what is interesting is this model, the ATX-T. Now I think this should be quite interesting. Yes, it's an ADV bike that looks like a Terrain has been rogered by the Kiwi TX, or vice versa. The Kiwi TX has been rogered by the Terrain. What do you think of that? I quite like it, and I'm quite intrigued to see what it's like, because for under sort of £2,800 it comes with the boxes as a proper 125 liquid cooled adventure bike. So I'm quite keen to see what that's like. Bullet Motorcycles are bringing back the Hunt with an XC after it. So that to me says it's a Bullet Hunt with some slightly knobbly tyres. But anyway, that was a very popular bike. The Blue Rock was supposed to replace it, but like the Kiwi K-Lite, the Super Light was supposed to be replaced by the K-Lite, but it was very popular, so they kept it. Whereas the Blue Rock was supposed to replace the Hunt, but the Hunt has been in quite a demand, so they've kept it and they've re-released it with a Euro 5 guise with slightly knobblier XC tyres. So that will be coming quite soon, and we shall hopefully get that very soon, and then that will be reviewed as well. As part of Bullet, Nico are bringing out a new range of scooters as well, and like MotoGB you've got some modern stuff, sporty looking stuff, some retro stuff, and yeah, 50cc and 125. I'll bring you some more details on the MGB range and the Nico range when we actually get them. So we'll do a good comparison between the two, or 4, or 6, however many there are in the range. Now, some of you might remember that I've been talking for quite a while, about a year or more now, about Zontis bringing out what should be an 800cc triple for one of their bikes, the T310. Well, I read in MCN that they are currently developing an 800cc triple engine, an engine very similar to that in the Yamaha MT-09. So that should be pretty decent. Now, they have stated that the engine they're developing, which is in-house, should outperform most 1000cc rivals. So that'll be interesting. Here is a concept. Now, as a concept, yes please, but like most concepts, it'll probably look nothing like that. It should do. I can't see why. If you can draw it like that, and the design should be like that. Make that bike. It looks epic. I'll have one. But what I also want to see is that triple engine, especially if it's 1000cc or 900cc, in the T310, because I love that bike. It's just not powerful enough for what I need. And that could be something, especially going by their previous weight advantages, that is something that could possibly be a replacement for my Triumph 1215 Explorer. Maybe as an addition, possibly replacement. I don't know, time will tell. Lexmoto have showcased their new bike, the LXS 125, which is like the LXR but a bit more streety, not quite so fairingy. It looks quite nice. However, I imagine they won't have any because they struggle to get stocks, I think. Yeah, if they get stocks, great. Look forward to seeing it. One to watch out for, which really does appeal to me in particular, is that Buell, after 11 or 12 years, they are going back into production with 4 new bikes supposed to be released for 2024. Now that is something I will definitely be interested in. And from the looks of the pictures of the concepts, there looks to be a sporty looking thing, which is very similar to a KTM Duke meets a Honda Fireblade with a Buell engine. Ooh, yes please. Now there are lots of other bikes that are coming out that I could have talked about, but I didn't want to bore you with a massive list of here's this, and this. There's a picture, and there's that, and picture. So we'll bring you another news segment in a few weeks' time with some updated details on some of the other bikes and cars that are coming out in 2021 and 2022. There is one other thing I would like to add. Now, us at Lightning Storm Motorcycles and Motors for the Masses are now introducing our new cafe, which is under development. In the next few weeks, our cafe will be opening, and I've designed the logo. Now, at this point, you could turn off if you want to, or just skip to the end. Or, if you want to listen to some lovely music and watch a very fast forward bit of me painting, here is me painting and designing the new sign. So here is the logo for Stormy Pit Stop, which is what I've called it. Had to be, really.
So Chris has cut out the cloud in the specifications that I've asked, and he's measured it and done the cloud thusly, which is going to form the logo for our new biker cafe, and I am now going to paint it. I bought various supplies. I've got some brushes, sponges, a couple of palettes, some more brushes, and a variety of coloured paints for interior and exterior enamel style paints, rustins, and yeah, so here we go.
Up in a painted cup, I will pour my love from a cloud above. So bright I can see the lights taking you up and above the blue sky. Tastes good to be drinking all of the honey sweet brew of ours. Up in a painted cup, right in the sky like a firefly. Like a firefly. I believe.
So that's the first layer of grey in. I shall wait for that to dry, and I shall attack it with some white just to brighten it up and smudge it in with the sponge and make it look more cloud-like. And I shall add some detail with the black later. So next, with the white paint, use the same brush, so you're wasting another brush, mix it in like so, and then take my sponge and just mix it. Give it a lighter grey in certain places with an undertone of the dark grey. Like so. Just to give it a little bit of lighter texture. What I don't want is a dark, black, horrible cloud. What I might do as well is mix in a bit more lighter grey. Just put a bit of white in there. And then mix it in like so. Whilst getting white paint on my shirt.
To believe is to feel the fire grow within.
So there we go. There's the white mixed in. I'll let that dry, and then I'll put the black accents on. So for me, the accents are the worst part, because my hand is not as steady as I'd like it to be. I can't quite do an impression of a guy with a fuzzy head off The Joy of Painting. So what we're going to do is just do a light brush here. There we go. A light little brush. Brushy brush brush. So yeah, this bit might be a little bit messy, but I can try and neaten it up. with a blade. We'll see. But yeah, I don't like doing this bit. What I'm trying to do is get enough on my brush to do a sweep.
To believe is to see how the present comes from.
So, the outside of the eye is done. It's now the ridiculously tricky part, trying to get the nose to go around like that.
Up in a painted cup, I will paraglide across the sky. Let flowers and tiny hearts shaping a line in the cup of ours. So sweet like a honeybee can buzz around a honey tree. Up in a painted cup, right in the sky like a firefly. Like a firefly. I believe to believe is to feel the fire grow within. I believe to believe is to see how the present comes from dreams. Color in my love, love, love. 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 Up in the painted cup, I pour my love from a color in my love, love, love. He's good to
Okay, so now this is almost finished. I shall do the lightning bolt in yellow in a minute. Obviously I won't stick it on until everything is dry in the morning.
bring all of the hot and sweet. Color in my love, love.
So I'll go back into the joy of painting mode. So we're just gonna lightly spin that around. Spinny, spin, spin, spin that around. Get that a bit of texture there. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just beautiful? And just tickle it in. Ticky, 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 ticky. Tickle it in. There we go. A little bit away. A little bit away. Then we're going to spin the spoon gate over. And we're just going to, there you go. Little circles. If anyone has never seen the joy of painting, then you have no idea what I'm doing. But if you do, YouTube it. It's a guy, I think it started in the 80s. He's got this big fuzzy blonde hair. And he just talks like everything is all exciting and lovely and just a bit gentle. So I can't remember if I showed you before, but as I say, Chris and I sort of looked at the shape of what we wanted and measured it up and said, yes, I'd like that. He did the outline of the shape really well and then cut it out with a jigsaw, deburred it, all that lot, and made the lightning bolts to fit as well, so that that lightning bolt will sit on there like that, and then that we will stick to here. And then I wanted to do the detail, the drawing and the painting. So I shall now paint this yellow and then I'll leave that to dry properly, and then tomorrow we will just scratch this up and we are going to stick and rivet this in place, and that will be the logo done. And this is the logo that I drew previously, as I showed you here, and that is what I would like as the logo for my cafe that we're having here. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with how this turned out. Looks good. I'm just waiting for this, which looks like the front of the eyes, or the top of the eyes from SpongeBob, or was it Patrick, or the crab? The crab, that's it. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So there is the lightning bolt painted, and that will go in place on there. And tomorrow Once it's dry and that's all stuck on, I'll show you the end result. Well, I say tomorrow, it'll be part of this video. There. So next thing, just going to put some tape around here, like so, to stick the flash on, and then we'll stick it onto the cloud.
And here it is, my complete contradiction in terms, the happy storm cloud. Well, yeah, he is. He's happy because he's having food, and he's happy because he's doing what he loves best, creating storms. So there you go. If you're ever in this area and you want to pop in for a bacon roll or a burger or a hot dog or some noodles or some fried dumplings or some egg fried rice, because we're doing a mixture of those kind of foods, tea, coffee, possibly some hot chocolate, then please do. It'll be at our premises here at Lightning Storm Motorcycles, and there'll be more details on that coming up soon, so I shall tell you all about that closer, and I shall show you the food and introduce you to the menu. But for now, that's it. So thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I couldn't bring you the 650 MT today, but it will be coming next week. So there you go. So please, if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you have anything else you want to ask, say, do, or anything like that. And yes, Bob is coming back, and I know I keep saying it, but I'm just trying to track Malcolm down and to ground him for a short amount of time to get some work done on it. And that's all I have to say on that. So until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye bye.